Okay, we're back with another installation or a letter from Keys.
Let me say the date is December 27th, 2018. And this is the third letter from Keys.
Right. And this one is called Trust. It's interesting how these progressions go from truth or from faith, then leading right into truth, which now is leading right into trust. Trust. Trust is born in the perception of innocence, both yours and your brothers and sisters as one. Trust can neither be earned nor bought. Trust either accepted or rejected. I promise you there is no limit to trust, for it is not a quantity, but rather a quality. Trust is the result of the perception of truth, and not the other way around. Who do you trust? Those whom you control or may buy with favors, those who are blood relations, those who serve from conditions you set, those who live by your expectations? No. Well, this is fear, not trust. So whom do you trust? You may trust me, for I am the quality of innocence in you and those around you as yourself. Trust not your usual view of yourself, for it is delusional. Trust rather your perception of me, for this is your true identity. The response to innocence is trust, for therein lies your invulnerability to any real harm. Harm, no matter how unjust, no matter how disfiguring, is not real, for it is not worthy of me or you. You may, however, choose to express or experience a harmful perception. False God, thy name is harm, born in fear, the greatest false god of all. Harm is a perception began and sustained by false gods. And they do react to sanity with threats of greater harm. Only that which is false is able to die and to feel threatened. Only falsehood will react with terms of threats. To express harm in any form, even in your thoughts, is to experience it. Masochism is not the way of our kingdom. Only when the will to express and experience harm of any kind is laid aside can you realize your true identity. Then you will awake to see the kingdom we are. Trust can neither be legislated nor bargained for. With the acceptance of your brothers and sisters' innocence as your own comes the end to the need for court system lawsuits. I'm sure there are a lot of lawyers who won't want to hear that. The spirit of the law must be love, otherwise all you have is legality. Innocence is a quality unearned, as is trust. Trust one another as I trust you, and I do trust you. For not to do so would mean the collapse of the kingdom and the very end of my being, and this is completely impossible. Harm is another experience in the midst of which you must choose how to feel. Who is your God? What is your perception? To answer this, ask yourself, who am I? On this answer is based your perception, and upon this perception is founded your every decision. Trust me, and we will decide every issue as one. Only one answer will suffice. Two separate perceptions cannot coexist. Only one perception functions at a time. The light of true perception dispels the darkness of delusion, but only as you allow it to do so. Anything else is fragmentation. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one. Israel is the name of my people. The question is, am I your God? With the dawn of trust comes the end to the need for missiles and misunderstanding. Pray, trusting your brother and sister as I trust you. Your prayers are pictures of your chosen perception. I am the true perception. I am the quality of innocence perceived in your brother and sister as yourself. At illusion ends lives the kingdom's dawn. Harm is the lesson laid to prompt you to choose to see beyond the quality of innocence. And trust is the gift of awakening. The gift given is the gift received in any case. I am the gift of innocence. Only by perceiving me can you give me. And if you perceive me, I am yours. I assure you I am. With those two words, I am, I began your faith. With those two words, I have fulfilled it. In you, I do trust. God. Now, I know there's some things that go against previous generations' flows of thinking and even our present generation. The what's in it for me has no place in keys. It has no place in what God's handing out through keys. It doesn't even have a place in God's consciousness. It's what I can give, what I can be, what I can give. Not just what I can do, what I can be, that makes the difference. And the perception of innocence. Because we're trained by this world not to perceive innocence. We're trained to look on each other with at least some degree of suspicion. And if we do that, then we're setting up blockages. We're setting up walls without having to pay any tax dollars to do it. Walls that separate us from one another and from God. At one point in eternal existence, some part of God apparently asked the question, is there anything other than God? Could there be anything other than God? And at that point was when what we call separation happened. And when separation happened, the thing that came right after it was fear. If you're separate from the total being of all being, then maybe you can be destroyed. Maybe you can be hurt. And fear comes from that. A lot of people think you have two choices in life, love or hate. It's not true. Even in the Course in Miracles, it says there are only two choices here, love or fear. Hate comes out of fear. Anger comes out of fear. Vengeance comes out of fear. Resentment comes out of fear. So when God talks about false gods being fear-based, that's where this is coming from. And he's letting us know that we have every right to cling on to those false gods as long as we wish, and we have every right to discard them when we don't need them. So, Paul, any ideas, questions?
No, this is a real good one. There all are. I just want to enumerate how he mentions about harm, and harm even viewed. Harm contemplated is the same as harm experienced.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that need to contemplate on that.
Yes.
And share that. For instance, what makes me think of is all these people who go to these horror movies. You know, there's it's such a huge market, and so many people watch these things, and they are just god awful, and just the negativity and the horror of the mind that they're subjecting themselves to. You know, I've never understood it, and here you have God, you know, warning, saying, you know, this is not good. It's not good for you.
Right.
You know, no good can come of it.
It's like poison.
So
I can share an experience, and I'm kind of ashamed of this. Remember in the New Testament, we're told that if, for example, if we see a woman and lust after her, we've committed the act in our mind. We've already committed it. Well, there's also that linkage between us and other people. We're all one. That sounds very New Agey and airy-fairy, I know, and I couldn't care less. The fact is, if it's a truth, it's a truth. Deal with it. So we are linked. And what we think is, in one level or another, actually recorded in the mind of the person we're thinking of, and probably in the mind of all of humanity, across the planet, and maybe even across the cosmos. Now, one day I was standing behind a man who was at a AMT trying to get money from the automatic teller. And for some reason it wasn't working with him and he was having trouble with it. He was a good-looking guy. Like I said, I'm gay. And I was standing behind him thinking, oh my God, I really wish, and I think you can fill in the blank on that one. A few moments later, he turned around and said, stop it. I played dumb like I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm ashamed of having thought that. He felt it. I wasn't touching him. I mean, there was like this much distance between us. When we think something, it's already manifesting in one way, shape, or form. It may not be a form that we can hold in our hand and say, see, here it is right here. But it's manifesting regardless in us and those around us. And perhaps the entire cosmos.
Okay.
Okay?